exactly, Mike.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's great. Well, I can see that quite a lot of people have joined us now, so maybe we should get underway. So thanks everybody, and welcome to the YAP Ireland launch of our annual report for 2024. I hope you enjoy our speakers and the videos of poetry, artwork, activities, and testimonies of young people and parents, carers we've had the privilege of working with over the last year. 2024 was a very busy year for YAP Ireland, and we worked with over 603 young people and families through intensive support across child protection and welfare, TUSLA Education Support Service, CAMS, and separated children seeking international protection. The Crisis Intervention Support Project also. We piloted integration support for separated children with 29 young people, and this is continuing in 2025, as well as independent advocacy services. YAPability programs continue to grow, with 46 young people and families worked with in 2025 in partnership with the HSE Disability Services. The independent mental health advocacy service also continued to grow in all the inpatient units and the community. I look forward to sharing with you today the amazing outcomes and achievements of the young people and parents. So we'll get started. You're all very, very welcome to YAP Ireland's national event.
So we're delighted to be partnering with the Youth and Advocacy Programme YAP this morning to launch our Headspace Toolkit. It's all about empowering young people to speak up for themselves and making sure that their voice is heard.
Through YAP, the opportunity to wander, to explore the world, and to find out what space do I feel comfortable in.
The role of the Independent Advocacy Service is to listen to young people and parents and work with them to ensure they are being heard within the services that they receive.
No one else knows you better than you do. No one is in a better position to be able to speak up for your needs, your wants, your views, your feelings, your opinions than you.
A space to be me means to me that I get to be and get to be accepted for exactly who I am.
We've had singing, we've had poems, we've had dancing, we've had people actually saying their real experience, and I want to see more of that going forward, and I think we can all learn from today.
It's a place that you feel confident and comfortable and happy, and that you can just be yourself always.
Obviously, I'm very fortunate to work with YAP in terms of creating relationships with young people in the community to ensure that the supports are in place when the young people leave Overstown to make the best that they can of their return to society and maximise their potential.
So to everyone here and to all the young people, you have magic. You are magic. So just be yourselves.
My story with YAP, it's been so great. Every day was a crack, memories I celebrate. We sailed on the Dunbrody big and grand, felt like a captain with the rudder in hand. At photo I saw animals wild and free. We laughed a lot, my advocate and me. At Activate I climbed YAP High. We bowled and had fun. The pins flew by. We played pitch and putt and jokes all day. I got great scores, hip hip hooray. I tried ice skating without a slip, twist and turns up and flip. Winterville and Waterford was a blast, and beach walks made cool memories to last. At Jurassic Park, the dinosaurs did roar. Chamore amusements, I screamed, go once more. At Leahy's open farm, I learned and I played. At Coke Park, we toured. Oh, what a day. We walked by the river, caught movies as well. Each memory made such stories to tell. With a super family, I'm feeling just right. Confirmations coming up and holidays holiday turkey in sight. With family and YAP by my side, I've grown so strong, and many adventures have come along. This is my story, the journey I see, and there is still so much more ahead of me.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much for asking me to address the 2025 Youth Advocate Programme's webinar, and particularly a thanks to Siobhan O'Dwyer for inviting me to be part of this event. I very much enjoyed last year's webinar on diversity and inclusion within mental health care. I have no doubt that this year's theme, which highlights personal experiences and stories, will be equally enlightening and engaging. Opportunities to talk about mental health are so important, and it is brilliant to see so many people here today taking such an active role in promoting positive mental health and well-being. I've always been impressed by the work of the Youth Advocate Programme YAP, and I particularly appreciate the way YAP adopts a strengths-based and a needs-led approach to providing services. I would like to commend in particular YAP's steadfast commitment to supporting children and young people to build on their strengths to achieve the outcomes they want, irrespective of the difficulties they may face. Encouraging young people and families to express their lived experiences and make informed decisions about their issues which affect them is really important. One of my priorities as Minister for Mental Health is to ensure the voices of people with lived and living experiences are heard. Your voices must be central when we're developing policies, when we're expanding services and updating our mental health legislation. I wholeheartedly agree that every effort should be made by services to provide the very best possible health and social care. We must do more to make sure all young people receive the same quality of care, and I'm working very hard to make sure that we do. Our efforts should reflect everyone's unique circumstances and experiences, including everyone's individual stories. There is so much power in each of us sharing our stories with one another. So often when we share, we realise we're not the only one going through a particular issue. It helps us to feel less alone. But even where we can't relate to a story a friend, a family member shares with us, just taking the time to listen is so powerful. It helps the other person to feel validated, to feel heard, and I would really like to encourage everyone taking part in the webinar today to make an extra effort to be that listening ear for somebody this weekend or in the time ahead. Mental health is everyone's business, and you never know the impact you might be able to make for someone by being genuinely interested in listening to their story. It was the honour of my life to have been reappointed as Minister for Mental Health under the new government. For the first time in the history of the state, we now have a voice for mental health directly at the cabinet table. This is a really big milestone that presents new opportunities on many fronts. The government and I, in collaboration with the HSE and the various NGO partners such as YAP Ireland, are fully committed to improving mental health care for young people in every community in Ireland. My commitment was reflected again in Budget 2025, which saw record spending on mental health rise to €1.5 billion, a 44% increase from when I first took up the role. It's never enough, and we will do more. And as Minister, I will always fight for every resource for mental health, and I will continue my focus on investing in child and youth mental health services in the coming years. I am delighted to say that the new National Child and Youth Mental Health Office has developed a new Youth Mental Health Action Plan, which was published in February. This ambitious 3-year action plan for comprehensive reform across all youth mental health services sets out a series of actions to ensure that all children and families have equitable and timely access to high quality mental health services. There is no health without mental health. I firmly believe that. And just remember, if you need help, please ask. Thank you very much for your time.
Nuala, we could actually hear you that time when you were talking on the phone. So are you going to be able to do your piece now? No, Nuala, I don't think she can hear us. That's okay. We'll keep going. So we're going to have a couple of slides now on our outcomes, wrapped in YAP, and then some amazing work from a young person. Thanks, Graham.
Take you through the evidence-based tools that we use here in YAP and present the very positive findings that we have for both young people and parents who we worked with during 2024. Firstly, I'm going to talk to you about outcomes. We measure outcomes for our young people on our programs across 4 domains, including the self, family, education, and behaviours. We score young people across these 4 areas at both the beginning and the end of their time with us, and integrate feedback from young people, families, and referring agencies into this final scoring. As you can see from these outcomes graphs from 2024, there are very positive outcomes for our young people after they complete their programme with YAP. Another evidence-based tool we use is the SDQ, the Strengths and Difficulties Questionnaire, a well-established quantitative measure that looks at peer, emotional, hyperactivity and behavioural difficulties, as well as pro-social strengths. We ask both young people and parents to fill out an SDQ at the beginning of their YAP programme, halfway through and at the end of their time with YAP. We call these SDQ1s, SDQ2s and SDQ3s. As you can see from both the young people's and parents' 2024 graphs here, difficulties that young people experienced reduced significantly since receiving YAP support. Finally, I would like to share with you some feedback from our young people and parents. We elicit this feedback via our quality calls and quality questionnaires that we conduct with young people and parents halfway through their YAP programme. This enables us to hear the voice of our young people and parents and listen to their experiences with YAP. You can see here the very positive feedback and the very high ratings that young people and families have given the YAP programme.
With the Wrapped in YAP project, we wanted to create something that would make the data we collect from our young people and their families more tangible and accessible. There is a natural affinity between the woven word and the woven cloth. Both act as a vehicle for storytelling. Beautifully and thoughtfully crafted by Carol Conway, we present our Wrapped in YAP project. We chose the title Wrapped in YAP to mirror one of our fundamental YAP principles of a wraparound approach. We have utilised data collected from the young people from 2013 to create our Wrapped in YAP piece. As part of our YAP evidence-based toolkit, which includes data gathering tools such as the SDQ, 726 young people have answered the question, how have your problems been since participating on the YAP programme? Each percentage of the data is represented by one crocheted square. We use YAP colours to represent the data. Dark blue represents 52% of young people who felt their problems were much better at the end of the programme. The lighter blue represents 35% of young people who felt their problems were a bit better at the end of the programme. The grey represents 10% of the young people who felt their problems were about the same at the end of the programme. The light green represents 1% of young people who felt their problems were a bit worse at the end of the programme. And the darker green represents 1% who felt their problems were much worse at the end of the programme. One of our YAP parents groups helped us come up with the final design. Their design was unique, beautiful, and something we couldn't have created without their input. We're delighted to say that the parents group are currently in the process of creating their own piece of crafted data using YAP parents' responses to the same question. How have your problems been since participating on the YAP programme? We're looking forward to seeing their finished piece of data artwork. Through the integration of data and textiles, the collaboration of young people, their families, YAP staff and Carol, our crafter, 726 young people's stories are woven into the fabric of YAP. A lasting piece representing part of the YAP story has been created through the Wrapped in YAP project.
Hi, I just want to say a big thanks to the pieces of work that we've already seen, to Jay for his amazing poem, and to Mary Butler, who has sent us the video message a little bit late, but we got it anyway, which was great. And we'll continue, obviously, to work with the Minister and to achieve better outcomes and services for young people in partnership with the HSE. I'd like to thank Marianne for putting together the slides on the SDQ's outcomes and monitoring. Again, it's great to see the achievements and the feedback from the young people and families. And particularly, I'd like to thank Carol Conway and the group who made our Wrapped in YAP. I do have it, and we are going to be framing it and putting it up on the wall in the Dublin office. I was going to wear it as a shawl, but I thought it might not look well on me. But it's a great way to introduce and include arts and crafts in the work that we're doing. And for Danny, I'd like to say a big thank you and to wish him all the best in his future career as a photographer. Unfortunately, Lorna Kavanagh is unable to make it today, but Nuala is now able to hear us, I believe, and therefore perhaps I could introduce Nuala to say her piece now. Nuala's the regional manager for Tusla Education Support Service. Nuala.
Thanks, Siobhan. Apologies. A few technical difficulties here from the TEF end. Good afternoon, everyone. As Siobhan said, I'm Nuala Colton, and I'm here to talk today and to just commend the work that Siobhan and the YAP service has provided to the young people referred from the test service. I suppose initially we set out on our journey with YAP in December 2022, and we piloted 2 areas along the border counties and the West. And due to the success of that, we have continued to grow our referrals and our work with YAP to extend across the country, except for Dublin. So I suppose in the last number of years, YAP have worked with 59 young people. And I suppose that the young people that we normally have referred to YAP are young people that education welfare officers have been working with due to difficulties in attending school and engaging in education, and where we have identified a need for additional intensive support. And that's the very important work that we've been able, our youth advocates have provided to the young people and the families who we referred to the service. I suppose some of the important, the key messages for me and the results, I suppose, that we see young people themselves actually feeding back, saying that they're enjoying returning to education. They're enjoying their time with the youth advocate. One of the really key pieces of work that I remember that a youth advocate done was for a young person from the Louth area. The youth advocate, this young person wasn't able to leave the room, and the advocate worked with them over the summer period and supported that young person to return to school on a gradual basis in September, which that was a really, really important piece of work. And the parents were really appreciative, as was the young person, and the school were delighted to have that young person back at school. Some of the I suppose the results as well that really impressed me were the improvement in the relationships with the peers and with their siblings, and that was 86% improvement following the interventions and support from the YAP worker that the young person had. And from a parent's point of view, parenting skills, the support that they received from the YAP worker, they felt their parenting skills had improved by 94%. So that's a massive increase and improvement. And in terms of the young person's self-confidence was improved by 67%. So I suppose those really positive improvements have allowed those young people to return to education, for many of them to remain in education. So that support has been invaluable for the TESS service and the education welfare officers. And I know, I suppose, just on behalf of the regional manager team and the management team in TESS, just to thank Katrina, who has supported us throughout the last number of years, and now Danielle, who's taken over that support. We meet as a team on a very regular basis to review progress, to get updates and to provide feedback, which has been invaluable. So we look forward to continued positive working relationships with the YAP team, Siobhan. So thank you very much. I suppose just to end on a quote that a young person said, that I've gained a lot of my confidence back and I find it easier to trust people. So that's very powerful for me, how the impact and the positive impact, the work that the youth advocate has on the young people referred to TESS. Thanks, Siobhan.
Thanks very much, Nuala. And I'm glad we managed to sort out the technical difficulties. So thanks a lot. We're now going to move on to look at the independent mental health advocacy services. So since we started the independent advocacy service in St. John of God's Hospital in 2017, we've expanded the service to all 4 HSE inpatient units in St. Patrick's Hospital. We are also provided services to community CAMs in Mayo, Roscommon, Galway, Dublin North, Cork and Kerry. We have on average 5 young people attending weekly groups in all of the units. And the main issues, as you can see, that they raise are around communication and their care plan. Within the community, within the units as well, the young people have worked with staff on improvements to policies and procedures in the units. And I suppose it's building up that trust that's really, really important. And in this short case study as well, again, I suppose it illustrates the fact that the weekly groups are a forum where the young people themselves can get together and talk about things that are happening for them. That as trust builds up within the group and as the young people understand both what's happening for themselves in relation to their own care plans, but also the more general issues that are coming up, that they start to become empowered, that they start to feel that they can also speak and that they feel listened to, and that at the end they also become an advocate not only for themselves but also for others. So I think that's a really important illustration of the work. And then we just have a word cloud which illustrates some of the client feedback that we receive. And I suppose the important parts of this are about talk, that you have a voice, that you're heard, that it helped and changes. Those are very important themes that come up quite a lot. I'd now like to introduce Michael Ryan, who's the Head of Mental Health, Engagement and Recovery in the HSE and has been a partner with YAP Ireland in putting together and supporting the Independent Advocacy Service since 2019. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you, Siobhan. Good afternoon, everybody. It's a privilege to speak here on the YAP webinar this afternoon, and congratulations to Siobhan and colleagues on this year's report. I'd like to start by just also conveying my good wishes from Donan Kelly, Head of the Youth Mental Health Office, Assistant National Director of the HSE, who unfortunately wasn't able to join you today. Just a little bit about the work of mental health engagement and recovery. Our role is to integrate lived experience into mental health services. So we see that as a form of expertise that has a particular value from both a service improvement and a therapeutic support process. And we do that through peer support working, recovery education, individual placement and support the employment program, engagement to inform service improvement, and the implementation of some of the sharing the vision or national mental health policy. And when we talk about recovery and engagement, what exactly do we mean by that? So simply put, we're talking about recovery, we mean the ability of a person or a young person, to be the best version of themselves, to realize their full potential. And when we talk about lived experience, we're talking about a person's own story and understanding their own story. And everybody, has lived experience. Everyone has their own story. But sometimes, particularly maybe our young people, don't fully understand and appreciate the strength that's in our own story, and the resilience and so on. And we need to help people enter into relationship with your own mental health, your own well-being story, and to uncover, where the strengths are, what I can build on, where the resilience is. I think, as a society, I think resilience is something that we may have lost. So it's important to try and reconnect people with that. And I was struck by the poem there that Jay spoke of, and the line he spoke in, as I've become strong again, or words to that effect. And that's really what this is about in terms of engaging our people with their own lived experience, and particularly our young people. And the first step in that is to give people a voice. That's why the advocacy service is so important, that provide into HSE services, into our acute services, and some of our community services, because it's giving the person the articulation of what matters to them, what's important in their story that they feel the services need to hear. And it's wonderful also to hear Siobhan speaking there about the other supports, that YAP provide to young people. And again, that's helping people engage with their own story, their own strengths, and to realize, those kind of recovery ambitions of being, the best version of themselves that they can be. And we look forward in the HSE to continuing to work with YAP around the advocacy service. And you're also involved in some of our sharing the vision work, recommendation 65. It's an important relationship for us, as all our relationship with our NGO partners are. And it's just a great privilege for me here to be part of your webinar today, and thank you for listening.
Thanks very much, Michael. That's great. We really look forward to continuing the partnership and continue to roll out the independent advocacy across the rest of the country in partnership with yourselves in Donan and the Mental Health Office. I was just going to show you a couple of slides about our current strategic plan. These are our values and principles. And that's because our current strategic plan is nearly completed. And so we're currently working on our new strategic plan, believe it or not. And so we've already started our consultations with staff and with some young people, and we'll be contacting a lot of you as stakeholders over the next couple of months in order to hear what you think it is that YAP Ireland should be focusing on in the next period of time. So we're now going to move on to looking at Leading Ireland's Future Together, the LIFT programme. This was a programme that has been introduced and spearheaded by Laura Walsh, who's the Director of Services in YAP Ireland, and she's been working with staff on this. It really fits very well with YAP's principles and strengths-based approach. And we decided to pilot the approach with a group of parents in Dublin, and this is what they had to say about the LIFT programme.
I'm Amy. I did the LIFT course with Caroline, and I found it very helpful. Life happened, and I found myself in a place where I had to start, and participating in the LIFT course really helped me start tackling all the little, what do I call them, big frogs I had to address in my life. I've now moved on and I feel better and brighter, and I'd really, really vouch for anybody wanting to do this course. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Cora and I did the LIFT course. I found it very useful in everyday life. It helped me to take a step back and listen more, and it gave me time to think of resolutions rather than conflict. It was very interactive, and it's helped me in lots of different ways since we finished.
Hi John, how are you?
Good, how are you, Pete?
Not bad at all, John. Thanks for agreeing to talk to us today.
No worries.
I'm wondering, would you like to tell us about your experience of the YAP Ability programme so far?
Well, my experience of the YAP Ability programme so far has been very good because I've having trouble with my sight and my mobility, and YAP have helped me usually to access the community and to get out and do the things that I enjoy doing, like swimming, going to the shop, going for a coffee, walking my dogs, just getting out and about and meeting with people, like walking my dogs is a big one for me.
Okay.
And if I didn't have YAP, I wouldn't be able to do them things.
Okay, great.
Hello, my name's Sean, and this is my story for YAP. So I'll start from 2 years ago, when I was 15. I'm 17 now. It was when I was doing my junior cert, so yeah, in 3rd year. And everything was going well for a good while, but once I started hanging around with the people that were in my class, things kind of went downhill from there. One night, I'd say it was probably a few days, yeah, it was a few days after that the guards raided the house and all that, our front window was smashed during the night. My mum was actually coming from the kitchen, going to bed, and she was walking up towards the front door, and there went like a big, it was like a big massive brick that was just put through the window. And luckily she didn't get hit with it, but like she was an inch away from getting hit by it. So the only option I had that I thought was maybe to threaten them back and get someone to help me out, because it didn't seem, because like I did contact the guards like multiple times with the threats from the whole lot of them. I mean, they didn't seem to be really much help to me. It just seemed to make everything worse, no matter what I done. Just wasn't a good situation at all, because it was actually giving me anxiety and making me very depressed as well, and I didn't see much hope for myself really. There was no one really to give me motivation or give me any hope or any help, because even my mum and dad weren't really on my side, even though nothing really was my fault. Like, I was trying to get myself out of it. It was just one of them situations that I couldn't really get myself out of. Trouble just seemed to follow me all the time. Anywhere I went for years, trouble just followed me. Obviously, my mum and dad were under a whole lot of stress, so they actually decided to put me into foster care. So that was very hard, because it was a very new thing for me and I didn't really understand what was going on. So I was in foster care for 2.5 months. It was very hard for while I was there, because, you know, all I wanted to do every day was just go home. So they got in contact with YAP, and they got me a YAP worker, and her name was Karen. And basically she just didn't care about the past. Like, she just focused on now and focused on my future, and she focused on what my goals were and tried to get to know me as a person and see what I'm good at and see if I'm intelligent. And she knew I was smart enough to get a good education and get a good job, and she knew I was well capable of it and that I deserve it. She got me into a place called Youth Reach, and to be honest, it's been the best choice that I've ever made. And once you go in every day and get your work done and get your assignments done, you'll be able to get your junior cert and leaving cert, and that's what I'm doing at the minute. I'm focused on myself and focusing on my future, and at the minute I'll be getting my driving lessons. When I get my junior cert now in May, I'm going to go on to get my leaving cert, and I'm going to go on to be a solicitor. And to be honest, I've been getting a lot of good things coming my way recently, and I feel very happy, and I'm the happiest I've ever been in my life, to be honest, because everything's going well. I'm very successful. Everyone around me is saying that like I'm doing very good and that I've made my mistakes. Yes, I have, I'll admit that, but I overcame them. Like, since I was around a lot of criminal activity, or like criminal activity happening to me, I think it is a good thing for me to go on to help people in the law sector and be a solicitor and represent people in court and fix things, and yeah, just being involved in that type of thing, but in a good way. Like, and I still have a lot of goals, and I'm going to make sure that I accomplish them. But thank you for listening to my story anyway, and yeah, that's it.
In Cavan and Monaghan, we believe that our greatest strength comes from our diversity. Every young person has a unique story, a different perspective, and a voice that deserves to be heard. At the Youth Advocate programme, we are committed to fostering an environment where inclusion isn't just an idea, but a daily practice. We empower young people to celebrate their differences, learn from each other, and work together to build a community where everyone feels valued and accepted. Through collaboration, creativity, and compassion, we are shaping a future where diversity is our foundation and inclusion is our way forward. Join us in making Cavan and Monaghan places where every young person can thrive, no matter who they are or where they come from. Together, we can create a more inclusive tomorrow. One example is from one of our young people, Alana.
Hello, my name is Alana and I am from County Cavan. YAP has really helped me come out of my comfort zone of meeting other people, and my advocate Jessica has encouraged me to come out of the house more and do things that I wouldn't usually do, like sending a letter to Sean Quinn, where he also brought us into his house and we could ask him questions. YAP has really helped me meet new people and helped me find self-confidence in myself.
Here is a showcase of our young people's adventures through the YAP programme in Cavan and Monaghan, with a song sang by our very own Alex.
I've got my ticket for the long way round, 2 bottle whiskey for the way, but I sure would like some sweet company, and I'm leaving tomorrow. While you stay? When I'm gone, when I'm gone, you're gonna miss me when I'm gone. Gonna miss me by my hair, you're gonna miss me everywhere. Oh, you're gonna miss me when I'm gone, when I'm gone, when I'm gone. You're gonna miss me when I'm gone. You're gonna miss me by my walk. You're gonna miss me by my talk. Oh, you're gonna miss me when I'm gone. I've got my ticket for the long way round, the one with the prettiest of views. We've got mountains, we've got rivers, we've got sights to give you sibbers, but it's sure to be prettier with you. When I'm gone, when I'm gone, you're gonna miss me when I'm gone. You're gonna miss me by my walk, you're gonna miss me by my talk. Oh, you're gonna miss me when I'm gone, when I'm gone, when I'm gone. You're gonna miss me when I'm gone. You're gonna miss me by my hair, you're gonna miss me everywhere. Oh, you're gonna miss me when I'm gone, when I'm gone, when I'm gone. You're gonna miss me when I'm gone. You're gonna miss me by my walk, you're gonna miss me by my talk. Oh, you're gonna miss me when I'm gone.
Oh, thank you so much. There was really important and moving testimony there from John and from Sean. And also thanks to the Cabamana and young people for the great video and all their activities that they've been involved in. I'd now like to introduce Jerry Hone, who's the Interim National Director for TUSA, of who we work with very, very closely, of course. So, Jerry, we look forward to hearing from you. You're on mute, Jerry.
There we go. Okay, you can hear me now? Yeah. Okay, thanks a lot, Siobhan, for inviting me to speak today. And as you introduced me there, I'm the new Interim Director for Services and Integration within TUSLA, and people would commonly know that as Chief Operations, really, an understandable language. So it's great, and it's a real pleasure to speak here today as part of your webinar. And just to start by congratulating you on all the good work and the outcomes that you're showing in your annual report this year. I mean, across the programs that, whether it's funded by TUSLA or not, at the end of the day, the intensive support programs that were offered have really grown, and you can see them maturing over time. And it's great to see the growth as well in the area of disability and the area of mental health and moving into those areas. I think the needs in terms of disability, as far as TUSLA are concerned, are great. And, we're actually, we've got a lot of responsibility in there, because children with disabilities are actually overrepresented in our care system in this country. And, disability services are mixed across the country, and it's very important we work together with our partners in the HSE to improve services. We know that, TUSLA as a state agency, we're funded by public money, and anything we buy in is also, by public money. And we have huge responsibility ensuring that, how we spend our money is really, getting the best outcomes for the service users that come across our services. And we can clearly see from YAP, that your work with young children and their families within their networks is actually resulting in many improved outcomes for them. And you're working with some of the most vulnerable children. Particularly important to me is your feedback about your services, because that's about listening to young people in different areas of society, be it with mental health or disability or separated children or people coming into contact with or out of our services, and what their experience of those services are like. And really, it's a key ingredient for me in trying to improve our services going forward. And in terms of our own accountability as well, I really want to commend, your outcome summary approach in terms of how you actually report on improvements. And you not only do that, you also report on what doesn't work as much as what does work. And that actually is so important for us, because actually, if we can identify what works best, and then, we know what to invest in terms of what works best for young people and families. And a lot of the times we know that's about experimenting with services to see what does work best. Not all services, the same service could work in one place and not in another, and we know all that. But that constant reflection on services and the outcomes that we are achieving, and where we're struggling to achieve better outcomes, is so important in delivering the services of the future. And TUSLA, within its own sort of reform program at the moment, we're clearly having to, be accountable for what we spend and where we spend it, and to give evidence that what we spend works. And that's about having the public having confidence in us spending, hard-earned taxpayers' money well. And that's so important for us. What you do in the measurement of outcomes provides really good evidence in terms of the work that you do. And that's going to be welcome across all the expansion of your services that you've engaged in so far this year. The key aspects for me is how, in each individual case, you're creating a set of objectives, and you're creating a pathway to achieve those objectives using, with the young person at the center, really, with their family around them and with their networks in the community, and introducing new aspects and new people into the network, to actually help with good outcomes and get the help that people need. And really, particularly for young people with disabilities, and as was mentioned in one of the videos there, breaking down barriers to participation in society, and increasing social inclusion, which, is such a key thing for people who have mental health difficulties or disabilities of any kind. Breaking down those barriers and enhancing participation is the way forward. And I know that's very much core to what you do as an agency, and something that I certainly value in what you're at. So in terms of, the moving forward, I think that whole outcomes-based approach and measuring it and actually being honest about what works and what doesn't, is going to be really helpful for TUSLA. And as we try and build our own family support services in an integrated way and capture outcomes, on our systems and report on them, that's going to be very important in terms of showing the good work that is done, showcasing it, and actually increasing our accountability around it. And yeah, we've a lot to learn from you in that space in terms of the outcomes reporting and the good services that you provide. So, and the way you break those down, those outcomes into education, behavior, family, and self, to me is very important, because you're crossing the domains of a child at family's life and things that are important to them, that are most important to them in their everyday relationships and their everyday lived experience, which is so important. And I'm really impressed with how you actually get that across. So all I'll say again is well done, and thanks for letting me speak here today. And I really wish you all the best in 2025. And hopefully, I can help with the expansion of your services and actually, talk to you more about your strategy, and bedding that down and see how we can work together to make that a reality going forward. So thank you very much, and I wish you all the best. Thank you.
Thank you, Jerry. That's great. And certainly we will be in touch to talk about the strategic plan. But also we have, really strong relationships with all of our gatekeepers in TUSLA across the country, and a lot of whom are on the call, which is great. And I suppose that is that partnership working and that putting the child and family at the centre and trying to make sure that that's what we're all working together. Really, I suppose, leads to the outcomes that we can achieve, because the young people themselves see positive change for themselves, and so do their families. And that's really, really obviously key. So that's thank you so much for that. We're going to have one final video before we have our last speaker, Ray Dean, who's the chair of the YAP Ireland board. And we chose this video because it's about springtime. So we hope you enjoy it.
Inch by inch, row by row, gonna make this garden grow. All it takes is a rake and a hoe and a piece of fertile ground. Inch by inch, row by row, someone bless these seeds I sowed. Someone warm them from below till the rain comes tumbling down. Pulling weeds and picking stones, man is made of dreams and bones. Feel the need to grow my own, 'cause the time is close at hand. Grain for grain, sun and rain, find my way in nature's game. Tune my body and my brain to the music of the land. Inch by inch, row by row. Plant your rows straight and long, temper them with prayer and song. Mother Earth will make you strong if you give her love and care. Old Bro watching hungrily from his perch in yonder tree. In my garden I'm as free as that feathered thief. Inch by inch, row by row. Inch by inch, row by row, gonna make this garden grow. All it takes is a rake and a hoe and a piece of fertile ground. Inch by inch, row by row, someone bless these seeds I sow. Someone warm them from below till the rain comes tumbling down. Till the rain comes tumbling down. Inch by inch, row by row.
Thank you all very much for staying with us through the webinar. And I'd now like to introduce Radine Dunn to say a few words. And she's the chair of the YAP Ireland board.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm so jealous of that garden. It's absolutely beautiful. I'm delighted to be here to do what I think is important, which is to really look back. But I'm very struck by Jay's poem, who urged us all to look forward and to look forward to the future. And this report is a story about the future. This report is a story about all of the individuals, the children and the families who make up the fabric. It's their story, it's the YAP story, and what impactful stories they are. I'm particularly struck by the story that 94% of the children and young people who engaged with YAP stayed at home and were able to create a new future and a new story for themselves. And I'm really struck by smaller statistics, but very significant, that 7% of children in foster care and 10% of children in residential care who were involved in YAP returned home and created that new story. So this is the story of a strengths-based approach. Every child, young person and family had access to their own strengths, to their own inherent value. And that is such an important story. Sometimes when we experience challenges, either with our mental health, our education, our self-esteem, our own sense of identity, or as Sean explained, when problems become so big, we can't see our own strengths or our own value. And what YAP does, and does so beautifully through the strengths-based model, is it helps to reconnect people to their own strengths, and creating space for children, family and young people to reevaluate and look at their own skills, their own resilience, their own strengths, which are utterly unique to them, is more powerful and transformational than any professional intervention. So in conclusion, I'd like to thank everybody who contributed to the YAP story, to all the children and young people and families who make up the fabric of this amazing organization, to our wonderful stakeholders who are here with us today and are ever present in the YAP story, to the staff and to the advocates and the board. Thank you so much for your contributing to your story and what a future YAP has. And I'm very struck by one of the parents who said that she felt a little bit brighter and a little bit better, and how transformational that is. So thank you, everybody.
Thanks, Radine. I just want to particularly thank Radine because as the chair of the board, she will be retiring in June, just from the board, not from anything else. And
Siobhan, that makes me sound so happy, but I realise it's only from the board of YAP.
And she's been an amazing leader for the organization and on the board, and has given us great support and insights over the time. She's been both on the board and then as chair of the board. And so just to echo what everybody has said, I just want to thank everyone for attending and for all the hard work, in particular the behind the scenes hard work, which is often not seen, by Graham, Danielle and Marianne, to make sure that the webinar was a success. A big thanks to our partners and to all the gatekeepers and the social workers and disability staff and all the mental health staff that we work with across the country, because without that partnership, YAP Ireland really couldn't achieve the outcomes that we do achieve. And that's very, very important to acknowledge that. A big thank you to our staff, because every day they believe in the model and they embody the YAP strengths-based model in their work. And that's really, I think, what makes the difference. But as always, our biggest thanks go to the young people and families who engage with such enthusiasm in the YAP programme and the positive changes that they make in their lives. It's a privilege for us to be able